This is my Emma mattress review. I've been sleeping on it for a couple of weeks. I think I've got a good handle on it. A lot of people were asking me, am I going to review the Emma mattress? And so I wrote to Emma and they actually said, yes, we will send you a free mattress. They've got no input on my video, so they did send it free. I didn't pay for it. They have no input at all in my reviews. It's totally my honest opinion and my take on the mattress. I do have to point out, and if you saw my unboxing or if you've read my review on my website, there is a question mark on this. And what is that? That is that everybody is talking about a 2 centimeter layer of conical micro pocket springs. And my mattress has 3 centimeters high, what I would call mini pocket springs, because they're not quite a micro pocket spring as in the Simba. They're definitely bigger, they're definitely a bit firmer, you definitely feel those springs under you. To cut a long story short, I quite like it. But the point is that really what everyone else is getting? I was surprised to see they weren't what everybody is saying, 2 centimeters high, they are 3 centimeters high. So I have to proceed on the assumption this is the mattress from now on you will get if you buy Emma. So just want to point that out and let's start from the beginning. So who is Emma? Emma is a German company. So it will say a lot on the website about it's a British made mattress. So it is assembled in the UK. It is delivered from within the UK. So to all intents and purposes, it's UK mattress. However, the company itself is a German company, and they're actually called, I think, Emma Matratzen GmbH, and also seen it go by the name of Just Right Mattress UG, which is, for me, a lot easier to pronounce. They started selling in Frankfurt, in Germany, in 2015, and came to the UK late 2016, early 2017, I'm not quite sure. They were certainly selling in January 2017 from the website, so I assume they came late 2016. There are 2 Emma mattresses in the UK, do not get confused. The Gen 1, which is the one with the springs, and they have a Gen 2, which doesn't have springs, actually appears to have lower density foam, but they say is actually firmer. So the difference between Gen 1 and Gen 2, on paper, Gen 1 is softer than Gen 2. But Gen 1 has the micro pocket springs, possibly mini pocket springs. And I will get to the conical bit later on. It was founded by a guy called Max Lahmann. And if you're wondering why it's called Emma, and a lot of these mattresses seem to have a girl's name, I don't know why. I personally had Eve and Leesa. Although I would say, obviously not all girls' names. There's a Bruno, Simba, Casper. But it's called Emma, and apparently it's called Emma because that's the name of his sister. So I guess they took a long time to think about what we're going to call it. Oh, by the way, my sister's called Emma. Let's call it Emma. They do sell all over Europe. In Germany, they sell 3 mattresses, none of which have springs. So they're all different. So they do sell across Europe, and they do sell several different types of mattresses. So if you're looking at reviews of an Emma mattress, got to know which one it is, which country it's from, and which gen is it. So what's the big deal about Emma? Why are a lot of people talking about Emma? And it's because a lot of people talk about Simba. And on paper, Simba and Emma are very similar on paper in that they both have micro pocket springs. However, mine seems to have mini pocket springs, and I'm calling that extra centimeter in height and a little bit more in width. And there are more in width. 2,000 in king size on Emma, 2,500 in a king size Simba, because they're smaller. They both have memory foam under the springs, and under that a firm layer of polyfoam to make the base layer. They differ with the top layer in that Airgocell on Emma and Simbatex on Simba. Airgocell, Simbatex, what are they? Airgocell is basically a polyfoam. They say it's different. It's their proprietary polyfoam because the pores within the cells, so they all have this open cell technology where you can get more air around it. It's good, get them heat up less, and those cells are made up of pores within inside the cell, and the bigger the pores, the more air you're going to get in the mattress. So they say they have bigger pores, more air, and that's better for cooling. Simbatex is synthetic latex, so latex polyfoam. So there's the difference, although they're both 4 centimeters in height, and I have to say they both feel quite similar. Both soft, both sticky to the touch, both responsive but not overly springy. So even though Simba is a latex on top, It's not springy as you would associate latex. And similarly, you can get very responsive polyfoam. This isn't a particularly responsive, however, it's not in the sense that you will get stuck on either. So the headline specifications, it's a bed in a box. It will come in a big box like that. It will come vacuum packed. It will be wrapped in plastic, and you will have to cut away the plastic, and Emma supply you with a safety blade within the box with which you can cut away the plastic packing, and the mattress will expand. They say on the website, allow a few minutes and then you can sleep on it. In the pack that came with Emma, it said allow a few hours, and it's always good practice to allow 48 hours for it to completely air and off gas. Well, most of the off gassing will happen in those first 48 hours. So I'm going to show you the mattress in detail. So I'm going to start with the cover. It's very Casper-like, it's very similar cover to Casper. As you can see, it's got the usual bland white top, grey sides. However, the good bits about the Emma cover is, feels very nice. 98% polyester, 2% elastane. The label says 100% polyester, which could still mean it's got the 2% elastane in. However, on the website it does say 2% elastane. Sometimes it does say that on the label. On this occasion it doesn't. However, it does feel very nice, very Casper-like, and it is quite stretchy, but not overly stretchy. So maybe with that much elastane, I would have expected a bit more stretch, but it does feel nice. It does feel breathable. Obviously, we've got the generic colours. However, the Emma branding is all blue. You get a little bit of branding on the mattress itself, the label there, and on the other side is a zip. There is the little Emma zip. It's got handles on the side. Now, normally they come with handles on the bottom. As you see, there's no handles on the bottom. Some people do prefer handles on the bottom. I personally prefer handles on the side. To me, this is perfect, and the first one that I've had that's got handles on the side, I do find them very handy. No handles is a big problem because you find all these foams are very brittle. If you start grabbing your mattress like that, you will get lumps of foam coming off it. So handles, to me, is a must-have, and they don't all have. On the sides, I do prefer it, but I have to point out some people prefer the handles on the bottom. It depends how you really handle a mattress. Of course, handles on the side and the bottom would be even better. First thing I noticed about Emma, it's a low smell mattress. Now, there is still some smell, only if I go that close to it. Only a very small smell, but quite honestly, it didn't really change from day one. It's been a very low smell. So one of the least smelly mattresses from day one. Just a little bit left, and that one, sure, will go within a couple of weeks, but you wouldn't really notice it, and you've got to put your nose right to it. Is a bad smell something to worry about? Well, it's an indication that it's leaching chemicals, which doesn't mean that they are harmful chemicals, but obviously it's not something you ideally want in a mattress. Some of them will be certified low off-gassing. So off-gassing, the smells, it's all about the leaching of the chemicals. So I just want to point out, this is a low smelly mattress. One of the least smelly I had on the actual day one. Even CertiPure mattresses I've had have had more of a smell. However, it still takes a long time before it's completely gone. This top cover is washable, machine washable. Again, a big plus. Not all of them allow you to wash their covers. A lot of them say, well, that changes the fire retardant properties in the cover, and so we can't do that. I don't know why you can with some others you can't. However, Emma certainly say you can wash their top, and not only that, the zip goes all the way around the top, and it's fully removable from the rest of the mattress. Now, some covers are one piece. You can't even remove fully a top portion, and on others that you can remove the top portion, it removes from the bottom. You've got to lift your whole mattress up. Lovely if you've got a king size. On Emma, it removes from the top. You don't have to lift the mattress or turn it. You just remove the cover from the top nice and easily. It's a big plus. So you really want to know, what do I think of the mattress? I was pleasantly surprised. Now, I've got to point out, in terms of firmness, how does this feel? It's got exactly the same firmness level, almost it's identical to Leesa and to Simba. Those three mattresses have the same feel. So if you're thinking about one of them, the other two are going to be options, because you're going to get the same feel from each of them. They are softer mattresses. So Simba, Leesa, Emma are three of the softer mattresses that I personally tried and tested, meaning Bruno, Casper, Eve, all those other mattresses are firmer. However, where that softness was a problem for me with Leesa and Simba, in that my hip area did fall too far into the mattress as a back sleeper and gave me a little bit of lower back pain, which I do suffer from. Obviously, all these things depending on how sensitive you are to your body position. I'm quite sensitive because I have lower back issues. Although the give is exactly the same in Emma, because those springs are quite spring-like, and I'm saying, you know, shouldn't they always be spring-like? No, because Simba, you can hardly feel them, very subtle. Whereas these are midway between a support and a comfort spring layer. You really do get the bounce and the pushback, and that's the point. You get, these give you a pushback. The springs in, the micro pocket springs in Simba do not give you a pushback. So there's no extra support. So that's going to be something you either like or don't like. So I mean, that's a big difference between the two mattresses. I found for what is to me a softish mattress wasn't an issue because it still was very supportive. Even though the spot relief, again, is not that great. I never had any back issues or back pain. I was quite happy on this. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought on day one, I'm going to get backache here, and I didn't. I quite like it, I have to admit. So as a back sleeper who doesn't normally like such a soft mattress, certainly prefer it to Simba, Leesa. That's not to say they are bad mattresses in any way. This is totally subjective and my personal view. For me, I quite like Emma, whereas it was a problem. Sinking in this far on Emma and Leesa was a problem, but I seem to get more support because there's a pushback on Emma. And I'm going to keep saying this because it worries me that I'm telling you something that other people are not experiencing. And the point is, and I'm going to get to it when I show you the layers, my pocket springs on this mattress are 3 centimeters high. Everybody else is saying they're 2 centimeters high. I did ask them about that. And all the questions I've asked them, to be honest, they haven't been able to clarify. And I'm going to get to all the other things like density. They haven't really got back to me to say, well, this is right or wrong, other than just tell me basically what it says in their manual. I can't be, till somebody else out there says, oh, I've just got an Emma and it's got the pocket springs are 3 centimeters high. I can't be confident you're going to get the same mattress. I don't know why mine are 3 centimeters. Actually, I did ask them. Their explanation was it's something to do with the vacuum packing, and some can expand after you've opened it all up and they've expanded again. Some expand more than others. However, the foam is clearly 3 centimeters high that encases it. So they are 3 centimeters. This is not something to do with how it's been vacuum packed, and mine is like a high end of decompressing or something. So somebody please tell me you've just got an Emma mattress and it's definitely from now on 3 centimeters high. Then I can be confident that you're going to experience what I'm experiencing. However, this mattress, this version of Emma that they're saying is Gen 1, I do like it. Even though it's on the soft side for me, it didn't give me issues. I do find, you know, when you talk about comfortable, it's the softer mattresses you describe as comfortable and the firmer mattresses that are actually better for me, and I don't get a backache after 8 hours sleep, but I can never describe them as comfortable. I do like that give. And as you go to your side, of course, these softer mattresses come into their own. You don't want too much of a pushback and you want a lot of give at the shoulder level. So it's critical there. So that's where these Simba, Leesa, Emma come into their own if you are a side sleeper. Of course, again, it's all proportionate to your actual weight. If you're twice as heavy as me, you can sleep on a firm mattress and it will feel the same as Emma does to me at my weight. 13 stone, quite average, 6 foot. But if you're twice the size, it completely changes the feel of the mattress. So everything is relative. Whatever I say about the mattress, and when I relate it to me, you've got to relate it then to your weight. If I say Emma is soft, but you're half my weight, it'll feel firm to you. So this is the thing to bear in mind. As a front sleeper, I wouldn't normally say the softer mattresses are that great. I see a lot of front sleepers, stomach sleepers say they're quite happy on the Leesa, whereas some people are not so happy on the Simba. Because there's a pushback on this, it will be a little bit better for you. Of course, stomach sleeping, it's going to be terrible. Years down the road, just don't do it. But if you do it, keep your body as flatly aligned as possible. Sleeping on your stomach, you want almost flat profile. That's why softer mattresses is not normally that good. But I think of the softer mattresses, Emma would be more appropriate. So edge support. When you're sitting on the edge, how much is it going to give? Now I'm specifying sitting because none of the mattresses I've tried have a problem with the rolling off. Now, normally you talk about edge support is bad when you start rolling towards the end and it's so bad, the give, you actually roll off the end, or you feel like you're going to roll off the end. None of the mattresses I've had that I've tried have really had that problem. So when I talk about edge support, I'm really talking about when you're sitting there basically to put your shoes on and you're sitting right on the end and how much they're going to give. They're all going to give a lot. I mean, I'm putting a lot of weight and it's still not fully compressing, but they're going to give a lot. And in terms of pure edge support, how firm it is when you put weight on that edge. While not terrible, Emma is at the lower end of the rung, as you would expect, because it's a softer mattress. It's in line with Leesa and Simba, who have an equal amount of firmness, and of course it's going to be behind all the other mattresses, but not by that far. I mean, the best that I've had for edge support was, surprisingly, Eve. I thought it would be Bruno, but Eve is my best mattress for edge support, but it's not by miles. But it's noticeable, but it's not a huge deal. It shouldn't be a deal breaker. So it's just behind Otty, Bruno and Casper. Not a lot in it, Eve being the best. Talked about the firmness, the feel. If you've tried one of these mattresses and you've got a handle on it, how it feels to you, I will tell you comparatively, Emma is in line with Leesa and Simba, but because of that pushback, I would say it's slightly firmer. And again, this is why I'm curious about whether they've changed these springs or not, because all the reviews I was reading was saying where they've had a problem, it was so soft, softer than Simba. Now, mine is not softer than Simba. It's a tad teeny weeny little bit firmer than Simba. But you probably wouldn't even notice it laying on it. It would be in line with Simba and Leesa, which means it is softer than Otty and Casper, and Otty and Casper are softer than Eve. Eve is softer than Bruno on my personal testing. So that's how they stand relatively. Does it sleep hot? No, it doesn't sleep hot. But again, it's all relative. The real foam mattresses you're going to have a problem with if you are sensitive to heat are the ones that have memory foam as the top layer, such as Eve, such as Otty. It's that retaining of the heat by the memory foam, which is pretty much specific to memory foam, that gives you the heat problems. However, you're still going to get some heat retention on all foam mattresses, so you're going to have some issues if you're particularly sensitive to heat. So some mattresses do try more than others to alleviate the problem of heat, such as Leesa have holes in their top layer, so it clearly has more airflow. Mattresses such as Simba with the latex on top are going to sleep cooler. That is a property of latex. If you have a firmer mattress and you are laying nearer the top, i.e. you're not sinking in, that's another factor where you're going to sleep cooler than not. If you have a mattress where you sink into it, it's going to tend to sleep a bit hotter. So all these things will add up to whether you find it's a hot sleeping or cool sleeping mattress. All things being equal, as far as Emma goes, with its Airgocell polyfoam top layer, where they say it's got more air in the pores are bigger, so it traps in more air in that top layer, and that's proprietary to them apparently. On paper, that's going to sleep a bit cooler than an equivalent polyfoam. Now, I can't test that. I'm not particularly sensitive to heat, and one of the reasons is because I adjust my bedding. Now, that's the other thing. Heat retention also is down to how much heat is in the room, how hot do you keep your room, what kind of bedding. If a thick quilt, you're going to retain more heat. What do you wear? If you wear a lot of thick undergarments or something like that, I'm not trying to be light-hearted about it. I'm saying you can't just someone say, I sleep hot, and that tells you about that mattress. There's lots and lots of factors to take into account. You could be sleeping hot, but adjust your bedding to thinner bedding, lower toe bedding, and suddenly those problems are gone. So it's the whole system comes together. However, memory foam is always going to be the worst thing you can have. This isn't memory foam, and this is polyfoam. Not going to be as good as latex, but probably better than a normal polyfoam because it's Airgocell. And according to them, I've got no way of testing it. The pores are bigger, retains more air. So I have Emma basically in line with most mattresses. You're going to have a problem if you have something like an Eve. That's going to be the biggest downside of an Eve, that memory foam top layer without really having done anything other than, obviously, the top cover really does have an effect on how hot you will sleep. But Eve, I think, tends to sleep hotter than the others. So Not particularly an issue if you sleep hot. In fact, if you're looking for a mattress that you can sleep a cooler in, Emma could well be a decent option. Spot relief. If I stick 40 kilos of weight, how far out can I put the tennis ball before it starts rolling back? So the closer I can get to those weights, the better it is for spot relief. So this tennis ball I've got to put around there. If I do this test using a variety of weights, I find it's not its greatest feature, which surprised me because it has those pocket springs which are quite firmish for a very small pocket spring. However, only Leesa was behind in terms of spot relief. So in terms of spot relief, not its greatest feature, but as someone who is sensitive to that sort of thing, I didn't have a problem. Something about this mattress means spot relief, or point elasticity as I call it, is not a huge problem, even though technically it might have been. No back issues because the way those springs were pushing back on me. Did quite well. However, in purely technical terms, I have to mark it down a little bit. Only Leesa was worse. The best I've tested so far was definitely the Otty. Those, because that's the only one I've really tested that has full-size pocket springs, and that is where pocket springs come into their own. Supportive spot relief. Otty was best, followed closely by Bruno and Casper, followed by Eve, followed by Simba. Is Emma any good for sex? I have to rate this subjectively. Everybody will have a different opinion on what makes a mattress good for that sort of thing. I rate it on a combination of comfort and bounce. Got to have decent bounce, but mustn't feel like a trampoline or too firm underneath you. On that basis, Emma is good for a softish mattress. So the firmness was in line with Simba and Leesa, but because of the bounce added by those springs, better mattress for sex is Emma, although still behind Casper, even further behind Otty and Bruno, because it's heavily slanted towards bounce. So bounce, 6 kilos. $16 kilos, that's heavy. Still bouncing. So lots of bounce for a softer feeling mattress. Motion transfer. I only moved at the end, reasonable amount of movement in the middle, but it didn't even fall over. That is 16 kilos, about 35 pounds. It's very good for motion transfer, in line with what you'd expect from a foam mattress. However, it's got the springs, a little bit of bounce. Maybe you'd expect it to be a little bit worse. So not as good as Simba for motion transfer. As your partner moves, the likelihood of you feeling that movement would be best on a Simba. Just behind would be Emma, in line with or better than all the other mattresses I've tried. So for motion transfer, I gave it 7.5 out of 10, which means it's just behind Simba and Eve. Testing shows Simba and Eve to be pretty good for motion transfer. Just behind comes Emma and Leesa, who are better than Casper and Bruno. Bruno, of course, so bouncy, so springy. It's terrible for motion transfer. Weight capacity. What's the heaviest they say you can be when you lay on this mattress? They say 130 kilos. On average, they are normally about 114 kilos as a maximum. That makes Emma quite good if you are a larger individual. Remember, that's 130 kilos per person on a double. After that sort of weight, that's where they reckon you're probably damaging the mattress. They're not going to warranty it. It changes the characteristics of the mattress. How's it doing for price? It's a big problem comparing prices on these online mattresses that are heavily marketed, because a lot of them have constant special offers. Some of them don't have constant special offers. They all have an advertised retail price. However, how they vary is quite significant from those prices. So I can only tell you by adding up all the prices and working out an average on the retail advertised price before any discounts that you may be able to get. Emma is the middle ground of the 7 mattresses I'm actually bothering to follow. It comes in third. So middle ground for pricing, but you know, there's not a huge amount in the pricing between all of them. And it can vary between what size you're actually looking for. Just say Simba is the most expensive, or the ones I'm comparing, and that's similar spec'd online mattresses. You can pay thousands for a decent high-spec'd mattress. We're not talking about that here. Just repeat, in terms of smells, probably the best mattress I've had. Now, there is a tiny little bit of lingering smell 2 weeks down the line. However, if I add up the smells from day one to now, it's probably the least smelly. So that's a good thing. I'm not aware of terrible chemicals leaching. So the main bit, the materials, the layers, how does it all work? What are they? What do I think of them? I'm going to take the cover off and have a closer look. You'll notice how the cover removes totally without me having to move the mattress. I just go down to the Emma zip, the lovely little tagged Emma. So a couple of little blue touches, which is nice. Of course, the whole mattress is grey and white. I don't really understand that. Completely removes. I didn't have to move it at all. That's excellent. When you have to live with a mattress, that makes a difference. Handles. Airgocell. They say it's like a gel, but it doesn't contain any gel. This is polyfoam. This is polyurethane foam. Why is it called Airgocell? Well, they're telling me it's because the pores within the cells are larger, so it has more air. I know I've repeated it. I'm just letting you know that's the reason why they're saying it's different from other mattresses. You've got more air. I've got no way of knowing that. Other than if you're someone who's sensitive to heat and you've tried a polyfoam before and then you try this, you can let us know what you think. However, on paper, it's going to sleep cooler than an equivalent polyfoam and certainly cooler than a memory foam top layer. And that's the important thing. Most of these mattresses have a configuration of foams and the memory foam may be like third layer down, as in this mattress. Not really going to affect whether you get heat retention or not. It's if it's on the top layer is the important thing. So it's not on the top layer here. They say open cell. Whoa, there's this open cell. Of course, all these modern foams are open cell. You do get closed cell, but not usually used in a mattress because it's going to feel a lot harder. It's going to be a lot more expensive. It's going to be a lot denser. But yeah, they're all using open cell. You're going to get more air in. Better for cooling. Better for them because there's less material in it. How does it feel? Very Simba like. I'm comparing it to Simba all the time. That's what people keep talking about. On paper, they're quite similar. And it does feel, but if I push down, I can feel the springs pushing back. If I do that on Simba, I cannot feel the springs. Having the cover off and everything, I can smell still some off-gassing. And just like I would with some other mattresses, the level is still low. You know, that last bit of off-gassing to go can take a few weeks. Most people wouldn't notice it and wouldn't realise it because they've got the covers and sheets on and everything. So if it's responsive or not, well, it clearly is because it's got the springs, bouncy springs under it. I think I can show you how bouncy it, you know, for a soft mattress is bouncy. So obviously the Airgocell itself is soft. You should see no retention. Now everyone does that. You shouldn't be surprised there's no retention because that's really specific again to memory foam. You'd expect it memory foam. That's how memory foam works because it's not decompressing, it's displacing as you push down on it. It works differently. So yeah. You're not going to get stuck on this, and even less so because of the springs under it. You know, and it's comfortable. I'm describing it's comfortable as I lay on it. I've got an obvious sink at my hip area, my buttock area, but it's a supportive sink, and that's what really matters here. Whereas you may have problems with similar feels, Leesa and Simba, but not with this one because there's more actual support pushing you up. And when I talk about support, it's that bit that's actually pushing you that way. Now, it's not going to move you, but you're certainly going to feel it as support. That's why you sink as far, and yet it feels different under you. It's because of the amount of pushback you got. So it's 4 centimeters, and on mine it's basically 3.75. So it's a tad under. Well, actually, now I'm measuring it. Yeah, it's a tad under 4 centimeters within the margin of error. A tad under 4 centimeters within the margin of error. Responsive because it works in combination with the springs under it. So we get on to the big deal. The actual micro springs. Always important to know the density. Why is it important to know the densities? Well, because it relates to how long that mattress is likely to keep its properties before this softens up. Of course, all mattresses are going to soften up from the moment you lay on it, but how fast and over how long a period will depend on the materials, and that's where the quality of materials comes in. High density normally translates to better longevity because there's more material within a given space. So we talk about density in this country in terms of kilos per cubic meter. In the USA, it's pounds per cubic foot. So in this country, where we are, kilos per cubic meter, what is it? Well, I have to ask Emma because it doesn't actually specify on the website, and then they tell me it's 50 kilos per cubic meter. Now, when I've gone through all the layers, I'll then tell you why there's certain question marks. However, Emma, 50 kilos per cubic meter probably is. So, but certainly feels that way, although it's quite soft. That's absolutely what you'd expect at this price level. It's fine. Wouldn't want it lower. I'd be amazed if it was higher. So that's exactly in line with what everyone else is really doing, around that 50 kilo per cubic meter mark for a top layer polyfoam. So the all-important micro conical pocket springs as described by Emma. What are pocket springs? They're different from intercoil springs in that every spring is individual. It's not connected to any other spring other than the material in which it's wrapped and glued together. But the actual wires themselves are completely separate from each spring. Conical means cone-shaped, and that's good because it means it can collapse to the size of a single gauge of the wire. So if it wasn't conical shape, it could have, each whirl would collapse till it was just on top of the other whirl. So it means it can collapse further. There's more give in it. It will feel a little bit softer. Now, number one is they insist, I keep telling them 3 centimeters, not they're 2 centimeters. So 3 centimeters, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters. Mine are definitely 2 centimeters no matter what they keep telling me. That's nothing to do with it's decompressed more after being vacuum packed. They are 3 centimeters. The boxing in is 3 centimeters. And when I say boxing in, this is called encapsulated. They do this to reinforce the sides because pocket springs are very bad on the edge. So just to improve the edge a little bit, they box it in with some foam. So this is called encapsulating. They all do it. Here are the actual pocket springs. First thing you'll notice is, other than the very top whirl, if you can see that, the top curl is smaller than the rest. So it's conical in the sense that the top is a little bit smaller. However, to the eye, the rest is not conical. If I collapse it, that's not collapsing to a single, that's collapsing down to 2. And that's the 3 curls that they've got in, the top one being conical, but the other 2. So it's not collapsing. It's not a huge deal, it's just that it's not very conical to me. And another reason why I think they've changed these pocket springs, and they don't even realise it maybe. And if I measure at that, that is 3 centimeters. That's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. They may not be aware of it. These I do a hell of a lot more than the ones on Simba. Now, they're not full size 14 centimeter pocket springs as in Otty, but they're there for comfort. And in terms of adding to comfort, adding to bounce, and adding to longevity, because they will hold up longer than a foam layer will, excellent. Does exactly what it says on the box. Whereas with Simba, they are very subtle in what they add and the properties you get from it. But there's no getting away. The overall feel of this mattress is down to those pocket springs. So I like it. I've been quite impressed. I was expecting less given reviews I read. I have to hope this is the mattress everybody else is getting. Until someone tells me, yes, mine are also 3 centimeters, I can't be sure. Layer number 3. The memory foam. Clearly, a full-on memory foam, you can see how slow that is to respond, which is a good thing at that point because it's there for contouring. You're not looking for response down there. So you get your response from the top, and then you'd expect that to come back a bit slower as it holds your body shape, but not so much you're going to get stuck or anything like that. Also, that far down the layers means you're not going to have problems with the heat retention or getting stuck. It measures 2.75 centimeters. So you could round it off to 3 centimeters and then it would be in line with what they're saying. Density wise, 60 kilos per cubic meter according to Emma, which would be very good at this price level for a 3rd layer down. As you go down in layers, the density becomes less critical because it's that compression, decompression that softens the mattress. And that's less and less as you hit, look, you can hardly see it on the base layer. So that's less and less as you go down the layers. 60 kilos is a bit more than a lot of the other mattresses give you. Typical would be, again, 50 kilos per cubic meter down there on a memory foam layer. 60 kilos, according to Emma, that would be quite good at this price level amongst its contemporaries. Then the base layer, 15 centimeters. So 15, 3, 3, 4 adds up to the 25 centimeters that they say. However, not in line with how they spec it, because they spec 16 and 2. So clearly it's changed. It's 15, 3, they're saying 16, 2. That's a change, you know, and it wouldn't surprise me if they're not even aware of it. There does seem a disconnect between the manufacturers and the ones in the office selling it. Often don't know what the change specs are, or if it's even changed at all. Now, this is all my assumption, this is all my own opinion, because Emma is saying it hasn't changed, so I'm just giving you my feelings. My gut feeling was it has changed, and for the better. You will notice it's got channels cut through it, otherwise known as zoning, also known as convoluted foam, cutting channels through it. So it's been zoned. Little channels all along the top, and then in 3 sections, 1, 2, 3, the zoning. It's there to give you more give there than it gives there. So they've obviously worked out the average size weight that most people are when they lay on this mattress, and decide it needs more give at that point. I would hope that's how it's done. Some of them seem to only do it because it looks good in the headlines. Of course, it needs to be appropriate to the mattress. There's no point in having it much softer in one area just so you can have it, say it's zoned, if it's actually now going to put your body out of the line. However, this was good for me. I would say this is appropriate zoning. It's different from Simba, because Simba actually don't zone the very middle, but they zone other side. Now, if I lay on it, for my size, for my height, 6 foot, I'd be about there, down there, typically. Somewhere around there. Where does my hips hit? Just about in spec. So I'm on the edge. Now you'd have to, so if you're right at the top, you're going to miss that a little bit if you're 6 foot like me. But once the pillow's there, I'm a little bit, so my feet are down there. So if my feet are to the end, which to be honest, they normally are, just about there. So, you know, it could say the Simba zoning probably is a little bit more in line with my particular body. But of course, it depends exactly how you lay on the mattress, where you lay on it, whether you hit, and that's my point about zoning. It's got to hit appropriately to your body to be of any point. However, for me, whatever they've done, and it really doesn't matter, at the end of the day, it's how you lay on it, how you feel. However, to me, whatever they've done, it works. Definitely feel that sinking, which I wouldn't normally like, and yet it doesn't seem a problem that I've sunk that far on Emma. Now, all these mattresses are going to soften up. I've only tried it a couple of weeks. 6 weeks down the line may not be the same, but I can only say, you know, in the first couple of weeks with all of them, I can only tell you relatively how they work out, because obviously if you're a lot heavier than me, it'll soften up quicker. Just things to bear in mind. If you hear somebody say something about a mattress, it's going to be appropriate to you. Things are going to change down the line. A lot of people will go for a slightly firmer mattress than they like, because they know it's going to soften up over time, and so overall they will be in their comfort zone for longer. If you get a mattress that's spot on day one, you'll probably be out of your comfort zone quite quickly within a few months. Just saying. So that's the zoning. Pretty sure I've gone over everything that I wanted to go over, enough to give you an idea of exactly what you're buying, and relative to the others, what is the difference. So polyfoam top layer, it's not latex, it's not memory foam, got springs, it's on the softer end, it's in line with Leesa and Simba, less firm than the others that I've personally tried. The zoning just about catches my height. Open cell technology, but they're all open cell technology. Airgocell. The real thing about Airgocell, got no gel, but could be better for cooling. Will be delivered by UPS, say Emma. Mine came by Parcel Force. Parcel Force have a limit of 30 kilos, so if you don't have a single, it's certainly not going to come by Parcel Force. Mine may have come by Parcel Force simply because I got it for free. I don't know why it came on Parcel Force, not UPS otherwise. So the point I was trying to make previously about the densities. The density of the bottom layer, according to Emma, 60 kilos per cubic meter would be extraordinary for a base layer. Would be absolutely extraordinary. It's one, because nobody specs it that dense, because it doesn't need to be, it just needs to be firm. But B, because then the weights wouldn't add up. So they say 50 kilos per cubic meter. Inner springs, pocket springs, 60 kilos per cubic meter, 60 kilos per cubic meter. Can't be, because it would weigh a lot more than it does. So having weighed it at 18.5 kilos and then working out what the foam layers should weigh, if those two layers are correct, that must be around 28 kilos per cubic meter. However, maybe there's a difference in the others. I'm saying that because the Gen 2, the Airgocell on that, they say is 43 kilos per cubic meter. So it could be that. However, I did specifically ask their online support if those are really different densities, and they said yes, they are. So if that's 50 kilos, if that's 60 kilos, that's going to be about 28 kilos. This is not a shock horror, what's happened here. That's in line with everybody else. Normally between 28 and 36 kilos per cubic meter is typical for these integrated base layers. It's not that critical down there. It just needs to be firm. I'm just pointing out that even when I've told them, it's impossible for those specs to be right. It's impossible. They haven't come back and said, well, we know it's not right. So I'm only saying that because, you know, it's just something to be aware of. It isn't 60 kilos per cubic meter down there, but the others are in line. So I would say, yeah, the materials and the densities are good, just that that's not 60 kilos. That's my only real point. The online support, very helpful. Always seems to be someone called Kate, who's very helpful, and she doesn't know something, she goes off and finds it. However, you have to remember they're not techies on their online support. So, you know, it's coming from a manual. So you can't take everything absolutely literally. What I will say is, she never mentioned the words sleep like a cloud. That is the worst I ever come. You know, when they start coming out with their marketing speech, some of them are really, really badly guilty of that, as though that's ever going to sell you a mattress. However, no marketing speech from Kate on Emma. I thought it was a really good online experience. So I just want to say thumbs up to Kate. Something I should mention, I forgot to mention earlier in my video. It's cold foam at the bottom, so that's great, isn't it? Oh, hang on a second. Almost all of them are cold foam. It's the way they are produced. It requires less heat. In terms of high density polyfoams, the process requires less heat, so they call it cold foam. So nothing wrong with that. It's just that they are very clever, whoever's done the website, with the way they make it sound something almost unique. Not alone in that, but when they talk about, it's very common to see them say something like, on a lot of websites, I'm not talking about Emma alone, open cell as though it's only them. They've come up with something new. They're all open cell, and again, almost all of them will be cold foam. However, when it comes to Airgocell, it does seem to be something different. They do say their pores are made to be different inside the cells, so it's got more air. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything, and I hope you got something out of that. Thank you for watching.
UK